2, and here's Modi. Hi, everybody. Hi, Periel. Hi. Dan Letterman's here. I love when we do this Friday. It's such an amazing way to bring in Shabbat for me. It's like, let's end the week with a podcast and go into it. I love doing this Friday afternoons. And this was an amazing week. I was on Jim Norton's show, and it was so good. And Sam was so sweet. And it's it was my first time doing the show. And Jim's like, I can't believe we haven't had you on. I haven't done it yet, but it's,
I did it just a few weeks ago.
It's so good.
Yeah, it was a good, fun show.
It's a fun show. First of all, it's fun. I mean, I love where we do our podcast. I love Gotham, and it's amazing. But that was serious radio. Holy cow!
Did you go in? I zoomed
yeah,
it.
no.
They're letting people back
we went in. Crazy vax situation, and it was a nightmare, and Leo couldn't go up, and it was a nightmare. But whatever, the nightmare was over as soon as I sat in that chair, and it's like this studio. It's serious, and it's like amazing. It was just. And it was a really good podcast, and we saw Shatner go into space. That was
my God!
In that tampon-looking thing, it was just insane. And then what else? And I had the show last night at the Gene Rimsky Theater in Port Washington, and it was such a fun crowd. It was this audience that came out. It's this audience. You can look at the audience and you can say that these are just people who want to see a show, but they're not driving into Manhattan and parking and taking trains. They're just, if it comes to them, they'll see the show. You really saw that. And it was a lot of fun. And now we're here with Dan Naturman. I probably know you. I began comedy in 1994. I think you were doing it then.
I started in 93, so I don't know when I met you precisely.
Well, I began in 93 also, but I always say I began the day I was passed at the Comedy Cellar. So that was April 94. So I've known you definitely since then.
I don't recall the exact date, but it's been a while.
No, it's an obvious deduction to when because we were at the clubs.
Well, was that when they used to have the late night at the Comedy Cellar?
Yeah, no, it wasn't the same Comedy Cellar.
It wasn't the same Comedy
Cellar.
No,
and nothing on the clubs was the same. This was years ago. Things change. But Dan Naturman, those of you who don't know, is an amazing comedian. He is the opposite stylings of mine. Dan can stand in one spot on the stage, deliver his jokes in a tone that's just, I need to move and talk, and I'm like selling it to them like I'm selling a car, And Dan's like, here's the joke. If it works for you, take it. If not, I'll give you the next one and see if that one works for you. Am I right or wrong?
I guess that's about an adequate description. I don't move a lot. That's for sure. Yeah, I guess you're right.
And Dan, people know the number one thing people probably know you from is when you were on America's Got Talent, and you had that incident with Simon Cowell.
Well, I don't know if that's the number one way people know me, but that's a way.
Okay, I'm sorry. Number one way, if I had to put together your bio, that would be on top. Simon Cowell, Dan was killing, and then Simon Cowell hit the button.
Right.
And then that means that's the gong from the older from my older audience. Which I'm finding out we have people in our 80s listening to this.
It's amazing.
It's the Gong Show. Who's that guy that hit the Gong Show? What was his name?
Chuck Barris.
Chuck Barris, when he used to hit the Gong Show.
I think the celebrity judges hit the gong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But this is just a reference back then, and that he hit the gong, and then you told him.
But you have to finish your set too, which is a nightmare, right?
Yes, thankfully. Well, if they all buzz you, then you're done. You leave. But if only one of them buzzes you, you can continue. And so I had to continue. Now, luckily, it was toward the end of my set. Had it been at the beginning of my set, it would have been very destabilizing. But since I was already doing well, I didn't even know what it was. I heard the buzz. I didn't even know I was like, what the hell's going on? I thought there was like a short circuit in the sound system or something because I'd never heard the buzz before.
Well, you never watched the show?
I only watched the show.
What do you think? It was like a fire drill?
I didn't know what the hell it was. And then I kind of figured it out, and it was very disconcerting. And
no, but you told him, this is Simon Cowell, the big thing,
the big macher.
The big macher of the whole entertainment world, and you told him...
What should I say to you?
His how I remember it in my head is that you may be the I'm gonna say it in a way that my audience understands it. You may be the maven, you may be the big know-it-all of the music world, but as far as comedy goes, you don't know your ass from your elbow. Is that?
Tuchus from your elbow, if you want to continue to in that vein. But yes, that's what I said. But by the way, I lied because I'm not even sure he is the maven when it comes to music.
No, he's like one of those like Barry Dillers and all that. He's a thing. No, come on.
He's big in the music business, but does he know anything? I don't know.
Obviously, he knows something. But then, okay, so then another thing I know from Dan Naturman, when we were coming up in the ranks of comedy, doing the clubs and doing this thing, it was always a big thing to have a set on Letterman or to be on Conan O'Brien, which I never got. First of all, they never came out to see me. And to put the 4 minutes, those of you who don't know, and you had 19 on each one. You were on Letterman 70 times and on Conan 48 times. Whenever it was Dan Naturman comes out in some suit that didn't fit him. And no, never.
And it was the same suit every time.
You were always the only person dressed worse than you for comedy on television
Mike
was
Vecchione.
No. Close, but anyway, it was a thing, and I could never get it, and they never came to see me, and when they did, my 4 minutes were never good enough for them. Those of you understand, there's comedians who are amazing, and then there's people hired to take the worst of their act and take 4 minutes of it and present it on stage. And now there's somebody involved that has to tell you, and they have to make a reason for their living, no? So they're telling you, try this and that, and I'm like, you're not the comedian. But you went through that like 80 times.
Well,
walk the audience through what it takes to get a 4-minute set on Letterman or Conan or whoever was doing it
Well,
back then.
in those days, they used to come out to see you. Now they just want you to send a tape. But I haven't done it in a few years. The last one I did was Conan, and I did send a tape. And then J.P. Buck, who is the guy that's in charge there of the comics, or was, because it's not on the air anymore, would say, I like this joke, but not this joke. Can you send me another tape? Assuming if there was enough there anyway, like you would send them 6 minutes and they would say, well, I don't like these 2 jokes, but we have enough anyway. But sometimes they would say, well, we don't have enough because I don't like half of the jokes.
Right.
So then you'd have to send another tape in. And not liking a joke doesn't necessarily mean they didn't think it was funny. It could mean that. It could also mean, I don't think Conan likes this joke. It could also mean, I don't think standards and practices is because you said something politically incorrect or something sexual, so I don't think they're going to like the joke. So those are the factors that go into it. And this guy, Michael Cox at Fallon, wants you to send the exact 4.5 minutes that you're going to do. In other words, like what I used to do with J.P. Buck at Conan is send him 6 minutes or 7 minutes, and you pick the 4 minutes that you like.
Right.
Whereas Michael Cox at Fallon says, no, you send me the exact 4.5 minutes that you want to do. And I'll say, which doesn't make any sense to me, but maybe there's a method to the madness. Or maybe it's just a way for him to...
it doesn't... what you're getting is that it doesn't make sense. I remember there's a few times in my career where I felt like a relief. One of them is when I told my commercial agent, I'm good, thank you. No more commercials for me. I don't want to audition for commercials. I don't care if I get the spot, I booked 3 commercials in my life.
Well, that's 3 more than I did.
No, but it was like all regional and seasonal and schmeasonal and buyout and this out. And so what am I doing? You're running around to go do a 3-second audition and then they cast a completely different thing. It was such like
it's not worth the time you spend the hours
auditioning.
It was
like, wow, that's out of my life now. And another part of my relief in life when I said, I don't give a crap if I get 4 minutes on any of these late night shows.
Right.
I just don't care. And now in the world of social media and Instagram and YouTube, who needs them?
You don't need them. But if I happen to have 4.5 minutes and I'm at the cellar and I want to tape it and send it to him, that's fine. But I agree with you. I don't make the effort that I used to make to get on.
Right. And your comedy stylings, by the way, is perfect for that. It takes me 4 minutes to say hello to the audience. Mm-hmm. It takes me, I'm getting laughs, but until I get to the that type of cadence, I need, it's not, which was just, I'm just saying it was a relief It was a relief. And so that's that. Then you were regular on Crashing, the HBO TV show. You were regular on it. I didn't watch a lot of it. I watched the episode I was on, and
Oh my God.
it took me a half a year before it's a lot to watch yourself.
Yeah, I don't like to do it.
It's very hard. I did the show with Elon Gold, and he got copies of it before it was aired. You have to watch yourself. You have to. I watched it when I was on a flight. I was on a Delta flight, and they had it on the screen, and they had Crashing, and they had like 4 episodes, and one of them was mine. I go, this is a sign. Let me watch it, and it was amazing. I will say I was amazing. But you were a regular.
Well, depending how you define, I would say semi-regular. I don't
How
know
many
what the
times did you do
definition of
Crashing?
regular is. Every season it was more. Like the first season I only did 1 episode. Then maybe the second season I did 3. Then maybe the third season I did 5. Something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That was a lot.
Every season I got more, and had it lasted a 4th season, maybe I would have had a whole episode that was like around me, or maybe not. But I got a little bit more each season.
I was lucky to have an episode that was around exactly what I do. Judd Apatow said this thing of doing shows in synagogues is a thing, and he said let's do an episode about it, and he did it brilliantly. And the writer was Yoni was the writer on it, and it was so good, and we got to do it, and the experience of it was amazing. He was shooting with film, and if he showed up to the set, they would empty all the cameras. This is millions of dollars. They would empty the cameras, reload them with the film. It's very expensive, and they would shoot again under his direction. And it happened twice when we were shooting that he showed up, and it was just an amazing experience. And then you wrote this book that we're going to talk about. But the other thing that I think is where you really shined in comedy is you are a co-host of the From the Table?
Live from the table.
Live from the Table, the Comedy Cellar podcast, which almost never talks about comedy. And you produced that show, Periel.
Correct.
And it's
Well, she's also like a host on it as well.
Yeah.
It didn't start out.
It didn't start out that way. That's I always joke about that when I'm introducing Periel. But the truth is, she was hired as a producer, and somehow it evolved into her on the air.
But you shined.
On the web, you know.
It was when podcasts began, and Noam, the owner of the Comedy Cellar, this was his podcast, and it's a way to him to vent everything he has about politics with anybody. You were there, and you were literally a perfect co-host. You shined. You were like, I was with the times I sat in, and I never said a word when I sat in, because there was such a fight about politics. I didn't know what anybody was talking about. It was amazing to watch the argument and the way Noam put his knowledge behind it, and the way you knew how to come in and out of it. It was I want to say you really shined on that podcast. That's
Oh, well, thank you.
I have to say,
appreciate
and you know, now that we're doing this, we're like 12 episodes, 13 episodes in. It's not easy. It's not easy. You found a voice and a talent on the podcast, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He complains a lot about the podcast, though.
It's a part of it. It's an insane. I remember the first Jewish podcast I did. I told the guys right away on the air, I don't know anything's happening in Israeli politics, and I don't care. I wish Israel the best. I pray for Israel all the time, and the people around Israel. They have my prayers, my thoughts. I cannot get into every prime minister and every member of parliament. It's not my thing. Noam is obsessed, and you have to deal with that.
Yeah, it can be. You know, I mean, I let it go a little bit. I mean, I was fighting with him earlier on about the podcast, about what the kind of theme of it would be. I wanted to do more comedy related stuff. It is, after all, the Comedy Cellar podcast. But Noam just pushes it in a political direction, and I stopped fighting. Just like like you said, you had that moment where you're like, fuck these talk shows. Can I say that? Sorry.
But we had a big win.
We had Godfrey on. You can say that.
Okay.
I don't curse, but the guests feel like they need to curse.
You're saying F the late night shows, and so I eventually.
I didn't say F. I said not for me.
Not for you.
Not for me.
And so eventually I said, all right, I'm not going to fight with Noam anymore, and I just let him set the tone.
It's not.
But now we had a big win
What?
He finally acquiesced, and he said that 2 episodes a month, it can be just comedians.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
amazing.
right? That's.
But we could have done
about,
it that way anyway.
But see, this is what I. But now he agreed to it.
But he's truly interested in.
but he wouldn't have objected if we did
the
it even-
political opinion of the comedians. He's not interested in like what's going on the road,
Yeah, but
guys.
it's
He's like,
well,
hey,
that's fine. And I'm not that interested in what's going on the road. But if a comedian has, but I want a comic perspective, and I also want to relate it to the comic's life. Like the other couple of weeks ago, we had Tanel Wakim on.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was
And
great.
he's from Haiti, so that was a good way to talk about immigration
Right.
because he immigrated.
right.
So that kind of thing. Or we had Ismail Lutfi on this week. He is Muslim, so obviously that plugs into that whole thing.
And I always feel bad when I'm on because he looks to me for the Israeli thing, and I have no idea what's happening there. And he's asking me, "Well, he's like, well, you read the article and the editorial by Chushki Kapuchki, who is a neo-leftist, neo. What are you talking about? I didn't read the editorial in the New York Times. Took everything I had to brush my teeth this morning." But Noam is very good at, first of all, he apologizes when he's wrong and he admits when he's wrong, and he's very good at like a 2-second to catch you up. He's a left guy that writes for the New York Times, and he brings you right up to speed. But enough about him. Back to you.
I'm sorry. I'm obsessive compulsive, so I'm checking my text, even though I shouldn't.
It's okay.
But it's called obsessive compulsive disorder. You may be familiar with it.
He does this on our show too, but
It's
look what he
okay.
does. You can't send him a text message because he immediately deletes it.
Well, that's another thing I do. Is
No,
delete my
but
text messages.
and by the way, in your bio, this is amazing, and it's something I did recently. But in your bio, it says that you live alone, and
in the bio on the book, you mean the back of the book?
No.
I
The bio
caught it
on Amazon.
on Amazon.
Oh, the bio on Amazon, but also on
But
the back
yeah,
of the
it's
book.
on the back of the
It's also
book.
on the
Okay,
back of
that
the
you
book.
live alone. You
Yes.
live alone and don't get along with others.
No, I didn't say I don't get along with
How-
others.
how
I
did you
said-
phrase- how did you phrase it?
I said I live
He lives
alone,
alone.
and I'll read it. Lives alone and has issues with close relationships.
And has
It's not quite the same, but
It's
it's
amazing
related.
to put
It's
that
related.
as a thing on the bio. It's it's true.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
When you were working on my bio for this thing, and you said you rave, you love to go to raves.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
dancing in the
Yeah.
middle of Brooklyn in a
yeah.
warehouse and say, put that in.
Yeah,
Let them know.
it's interesting.
It helps the audience, and not just he's this and he's that and he did that and Letterman and all that and he checks his phone, but
Will you put that away? Close
I
the
will,
phone.
but I just had to delete it
You don't have to.
Oh,
delete
you
because
really
if I don't delete it, it keeps buzzing like every
so
intermittently.
just put on airplane mode.
What do you do? Do you do that on
change your
stage
life.
too?
On stage, do
No,
you
on
do
stage I don't do that.
no?
So
That's the one
pretend you're on-
place I don't do it.
Pretend you're on stage. I don't know if
Did you ever have on stage when I left my phone on in the back and it rings?
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Oh my.
And I thought it was somebody. I go, turn your phone off. And the guy goes, it's you. It happened to me at the Cellar a few times, actually. So this book came out. Where did you, it takes everything I have to read a book.
Yeah.
How did you sit down and write this?
Little by little is the answer to that question.
Baby steps, I always
Baby
say.
steps. I mean, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, said a great, I don't know who said it, Confucius, somebody like that. Anyway, maybe it was Todd Barry. But the point is little by little. If every day you write a page, which isn't an overwhelming amount, or even a half a page, within a couple of years, you have a book. So.
So this just happened overnight. I'm writing a book, and
no, literally for about 10 years, I thought, well, what haven't I tried yet? Oh, writing a book. William Goldman, the great screenwriter, and he did write a couple books as well. He said he always tells aspiring screenwriters, write a book, because a screenplay requires somebody to put millions of dollars into it. A book requires nothing. And if the book is popular, it can become a movie. But a book is a good place to start. So that was sort of the idea. Like, I've written screenplays, and unless somebody's willing to plunk down literally millions of dollars,
we've all written screenplays
okay, well,
and
everybody has.
pilots.
Yeah.
But
it requires millions of dollars of investment to get it to get it on the screen. So a book requires thousands of dollars, much less an investment, and of course you have total control over it.
This should be a TV show.
What should be a TV show?
The book.
Mm-hmm. Well, be that as it may, Judd Apatow hasn't read it yet. I don't know if he ever will because, let's face it, he's a busy man and has many other things to do. But maybe that'll happen.
But he's fond of your work.
Well,
Obviously.
I guess so.
He's just Judd Apatow is a big fan of comedians. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
Take
he
it
is
from
one,
there.
so
He is one.
that's part of
Yeah.
it.
But
So but for years I couldn't come up with an idea that it gave me a sufficient motivation to write a book, and so because it takes a lot of effort and motivation. So, but I did come up with one, and so then I wrote the book. But so the idea for it, I guess I can get into that if you want.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, the book is basically about a comedian who writes a memoir. It's like a book within a book. And whilst writing the memoir, it becomes like therapy for him. And he learns about his life and it helps him to, it's not like everything is great at the end, because that wouldn't be realistic. But at the end, he starts to work through some of his issues and things are on the right track and kind of ends with things going in a good direction. And hopefully those will continue in that direction. But I was just reading about somebody that talked about like how memoir writing can be like therapy, and so that's what just gave me the idea. And then I said, well, I'll make him a comedian because that's what I know about. Well, I mean, they say write what you know, but and I know that world, so that's.
But you did it. But I mean, it's
So
just to do it isn't amazing. Just to set, I'm not doing it, and it's a great topic. Everybody loves. People who are not comedians love to figure out what is in the mind of a comedian. They think, some of the people go, oh, comedians are all depressed. They're all depressed, and the comedy comes from depression. And then there's, it's not. I'm
well,
not
many of
depressed.
them are depressed, and I don't know if that's where the
Are you
comedy comes
depressed?
from.
Are
I
you
mean, I've
depressed?
had my moments, but
I don't mean like.
I'm not.
There's
like,
depressed Gary Goldman,
right? Yeah.
and then there's depressed,
Well, I'm not the happiest fellow in the world. I think neurotic would be a better characterization of what I am than depressive. But
I don't know if you're neurotic.
I don't know if you're
But
neurotic.
depressed.
I mean, the thing with the
Oh,
phone here is pretty insane, but
That's he's quirky. I think
I'm neurotic. I mean, no. I mean, I don't want to get into my psychology necessarily, but
why not?
But the
why
point.
not? This is not Noam's podcast. This is your podcast right now. You
Yeah, but
you
I'd
share
rather-
whatever. Yeah, you can share. It's a safe space.
No, I mean, I get like the character Ira Spiro. I still have stage fright.
You do.
Yeah, after all these years, and it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse, as a matter of fact.
Have you ever gone to therapy for that?
Wow.
No.
Why? Why would you do something like that?
I don't think therapy can help stage fright.
Of course it can.
Really?
For sure.
Wait, you have stage fright?
Yeah. Terrible stage fright, depending on the situation. If it's the Comedy Cellar, then it's no stage fright because that's home. And that's 15 minutes. But if it's, first of all, television is off the charts stage fright. I mean, you should have seen me before going on America's Got Talent, the latest thing with Simon Cowell. Before that, I was like circling. I was outside just walking in circles, literally walking in circles outside the studio. I mean, that's an extreme situation. You're going on in front of
Sure.
That's so
TV
funny.
audience,
I'm so the opposite. At the Comedy Cellar, the anxiousness I have get me on that stage.
So you're the opposite. Is you want to get on the stage.
Oh, especially the Comedy Cellar, where you're working in a vacuum of perfection for comedy. Unless whatever you're the first act that she puts me on, and you get to deal with this, they're still sitting down. But even then, the whatever she has whoever else she puts on as a host gets them organized, and then you do your thing. That you're working in a vacuum of comedy. My fear is at a corporate event with the sound and the sound and food and all that stuff. That's when it's not fear of it's just like ugh. How would you explain? It's not fear. It's
disgust?
Adrenaline.
Wait, no. So you're saying at a corporate event, you're not anxious to go on stage.
I'm anxious to go. I want to perform, but my fear is until I get there with my stage fright is not the fright. The fright is that it's not set up right. All right.
What is
but
your
you still
fear?
have what are you afraid of?
I'm not sure.
You you have an act.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, where stage fright comes, where it comes from. But I mean, obviously, I have a fear that they won't like it. But
even after all this
yeah,
time,
because first of all, at a corporate event in particular, oftentimes it isn't great. It's not the Comedy Cellar.
Right. I actually saw that you are performing at the Great Neck Synagogue or something.
Oh,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
I saw a flyer there when I was there recently.
it's mind blowing because listen, I haven't been doing this for very long, and I still get, really bad stage fright. But I think that if you can identify where it comes from and what you're actually scared of, you can get over it.
But it also might be what drives your funniness.
Well, I mean,
I've seen you. My favorite
well,
thing is when
it is
you,
in a way, because unless they're howling with laughter, I'm uneasy. So, I'm like, if they're not howling, oh my God, they're gonna start walking out or heckling. So
No.
I gotta be annihilating. So that pushes me to be as funny as I can be.
Is there a certain point where you're like, I've done Letterman so many times, I've done Conan, I know I'm fucking funny, right? Like, you're funny.
Well, but a given audience might every now and again they're not, in
every audience is
agreement.
different. I've seen Dan, and when I watch Dan, my favorite thing is when he has his material and then he'll do a crowd work thing, and if it doesn't go anywhere, he will abandon it and go right back into his act. He goes, so you're this and that, and it just didn't go anywhere. And goes, hey, you could see in his head, oh wait a minute, I have an act. Let me get back to my act.
Is that true?
So true. Is it true or no? Come on. I've
I
seen
guess
you
so.
try to work it. It didn't go anywhere. Back, and I'm in the back cracking up.
Well, because I know that the jokes work,
Right, and you don't know if this. With
but
the audience,
and the audience is a risk. But
The audience is a
early
risk.
in my
That's
early in my
amazing.
career,
it's a risk when you're talking to the audience because you don't know if it's something interesting is gonna happen, but your jokes at least are tested.
Early in my career, seasoned comedians that were working, Catskill comedians, like older guys. I was in my 20s. They were then in their 50s and 60s, and they said, lose the audience stuff, unless it's your entire act, and it's like, you learn things. You can say, is that your husband?
Yeah.
You never say that, because she could say, my husband died of cancer last week. This is his brother's best friend. And now the whole show is people focusing that this woman's husband died of cancer. So you just don't do that. There's, you guys together, you realize different ways of asking audience questions.
That's so interesting.
It's an important thing. And then, has anybody here? I've never said those words. Has anybody here ever? Because I don't care if they did. I'm doing a joke anyway. So I literally sometimes just say, I have no segue. We are now on a travel joke. And move the audience, and save that half a minute of the ridiculous nowhere segue just for the joke. But yes, but you have your material and you stick to it, and it's hilarious.
Thank you.
And this book is, anybody gone crazy over the book?
Well, no one was very, 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 very complimentary about it, and
he would tell you if he hated it.
well, he wouldn't. But what he would do is not say anything.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I mean, some people have been, there've been
Jim
some.
Gaffigan. Can I read
You
this?
can read it, but
Please read the.
But I
please read
to
the.
preface this by saying I don't know if he read the book or not.
And I've told you this 100 times. It doesn't matter.
Why would you say that?
Because I know people blurb, and I don't know if they read it, they skim it.
It doesn't matter.
But I don't know what they do. I'm just happy to get the blurb.
Right, but okay. Quote, how annoyingly good is this book? The always funny Dan Naturman wrote a great novel full of surprises. Jim Gaffigan.
Now, I'll tell you who did read it and like it is Katie Hannigan, the comedian, Mike Vecchione's girlfriend, among other things. She was very.
I'm reading a Jim Gaffigan.
And
Yeah,
you're
but-
giving me Katie Holmes.
but
Katie
Hannigan.
Katie
Yeah,
Hannigan.
because
What
Katie
are you-
Hannigan.
You kidding me, Dan?
No, but the difference is you said, did anybody go crazy over this book?
Not that you know of that. It's like when you ask
that's
any allergies in the emergency, any allergies, none that I know of. But yeah, no. Why would you assume that Jim Gaffigan didn't read it?
Because he's very busy, and because
As busy as he is, what it looks like on online. Don't forget, he's flying everywhere. He probably was so happy to have this to read. He has the 5 kids, and then when he's on the road,
I didn't question it, but
I'm gonna read this, especially, by the way, the font is amazing.
Well,
I don't need glasses. It's a beautiful big fat font on bright white paper. That was my review of the book. It's great font on super white.
well, that's more
paper.
important than the content at the end of the day. But
And then the Howie Mandel quote, for Dan Naturman to take on a novel about a neurotic comedian and his fear of success is so out of his wheelhouse, it's mind-blowing. I'm kind of torn. I think this book could sell millions of copies, but the potential adverse effect on Dan may not be worth it.
Yeah.
Is that
Now,
true?
so far it has not sold millions of copies.
You know who taught? Someone taught me.
We'll see if that happens.
My friend
Very few
Peter,
books sell even 10,000 copies.
My friend, you're preparing for the failure. Nobody ever prepares you for success. Your mind is already like, this is not going to be successful. You're already not going to, if I sell 10, I'll get that. But it could be the biggest thing. It could be the biggest thing. It might be.
And what if it is? Are you prepared
Are
for
you
that?
prepared?
I don't know because I've
If
never
this is
had that. I've never
huge.
had that in my life, so
That's
I don't
not
know.
true.
I've never had that kind of success that you're talking about.
You-
But change your wording to "I'm ready for that kind of
I'm
success."
not sure if I'm ready. But I could say those words if you think it'll help.
It will help.
will help.
Reconfigure
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah. It will
I'm
help.
ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready for what?
They ready.
I'm,
I
are you
like
ready
that-
for su-
like that
I'm ready for
Netflix.
success.
I'm ready
Don't-
for success.
Don't worry about Netflix. Don't add. God will figure out how to do it. It doesn't mean Netflix or HBO. It might be.
No, They
on
Ready
another-
was. I was just referencing. You remember They
Oh.
Ready? That was a
Tiffany
Netflix.
Haddish, Tiffany
Tiffany Haddish
right,
had a
right. Yes, I
show
know
called
exactly.
They Ready.
They ready.
And it was featuring like Godfrey, Tony Woods, people who've been ready since before Tiffany Haddish was born.
Right.
It just seemed to me like a condescending. It could just be me. Am I misinterpreting? It seemed condescending to me to say They Ready to Tony Woods,
No,
who's been ready for 25 years.
Yeah, but nobody gave him a platform.
But They Ready makes it sound like, okay, Tony's been working real hard, and you know what? He's ready. That's how I took it.
I'm telling you.
take it that way?
Release that. Release.
No,
all
but
of
I'm just
that.
talking about Tiffany Haddish. I'm not talking about me. Do you feel that the title "They Ready" is condescending?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, she's brilliant and she's such a
No,
sweetheart.
but to say that about
And-
Tony Woods, "They Ready."
And when I see her and her success, I'm so happy for her. There's people I just see that are success. I'm just so. Jim Norton, I was watching him in the show. I'm just so happy. He's such an amazing. I'm so happy he's all this success. Jim Gaffigan, every time I see him, I'm just because they're good people and they. You know who's not ready sometimes? The networks aren't ready for more than what their little algorithm things give them to do. Then they might not be ready. But the question comes back to you: are you ready for success? Are you?
Well, you're asking for my real
Wow,
answer.
You won't get a yes. No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm ready. I have the talent for it.
Yes,
Oh,
you
that's
do.
good.
sense-
I'm so
in
glad
that
to
sense-
hear
At
you
least that's
say
a
that.
breakthrough.
In
That's
that
a
sense,
breakthrough.
he ready, but emotionally, I don't know. You know, success can be a big destabilizing thing.
So this is what happened. I said to Dan
Well,
that
it can be.
his career, by any standard, for a comic starting out, is so incredible,
Yeah.
and with the level of accomplishment.
So
the
she
thing-
feels I've already achieved it. So I guess
I do feel like that. And he said,
He
"Would
ready.
you remember what you said to me?"
I don't recall.
You said, "Well, the nature of human being." He goes, "In some places they don't have running water, so the nature of human beings is to look up, not to look down."
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you articulate that?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think I follow
like
it.
people will often say, "Well, you should be happy because other people don't have what you have." But I think people are by nature, they're saying, "Yeah, but other people have. There are people that have what I don't have. I mean, there are people that have what I." In other words, we look to the people that have more than us more than we look to the people that have less than us. I think that's human nature.
First of all, you should think like
I think it's bad, but I think it's human nature.
It's not your thinking; it's your ego thinking. When you're thinking that they are their successes, you are in such a bad place. They are not they. Their successes don't define them. It doesn't define them, and they might be miserable and depressed and
Well, it certainly might be.
but I'm just saying it's not there. You should have complete appreciation for everything that's happened in your life. The fact that you're able to get here today, you're alive, breathing.
I
You
agree
have
with
a million. What's it called?
Instagram
Credits.
followers.
Credits. You
I
have
don't have a million Instagram.
credit. You have a million credits. You have appreciate them, and then look forward to the next thing. Don't be like, I can't believe
it's a
he's
beautiful,
not funny.
It's a
and he
beautiful
has
attitude. I don't know that it's a natural way that people are, but maybe some people are.
You
that.
can
It's
aspire to it,
100%
too.
not a natural way. It's 100%. That's what makes it a miracle. That's how miracles come into your life, when you go against nature. So when your thoughts are like, yes, I deserve more, and go against nature. Yes, I'm happy for him. Yes, I am going to succeed. Then the miracles will come. Dan.
Don't
Okay.
say like what you said to me is like
With the running water?
No, it's like being the best basketball player in the yeshiva.
Well, but you got to give context, or that remark has no.
Apparently, I don't.
Well, that's
It's
just
so funny. Leo once came with me to a fundraiser for one of these schools, one of these
some of these
rich.
yeshivas have some good basketball players. I think
No,
I said,
no.
I think I
No.
said football.
No. Leo, we were. He was there, and they're raising money for the school, and the school already has the parents are dripping in gold and parking with their Bentleys outside, and it's a fundraiser. And he goes, "What are they raising money for?" I'm like, "The school." And he goes to me, "It's a Jewish school." He goes, "Do they have like basketball teams?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are they any good?" I go, "Yeah, when they play against other yeshivas, they're very good. When they're going to play against PS 109 from Harlem, they're not going to be very good." It's, to put into context, yes.
They're excellent against Ramaz.
Yes, against Ramaz, they're going to be very good, very good. But against, I don't even know any schools in Harlem, but that
PS whatever it is.
PS and Tuchas. What's happening now? What do you? So obviously, I saw you doing a show in Great Neck Synagogue, which with other comedians.
I don't know who's on that show. I just have it in my.
I just saw the flyer.
Okay.
I was there. I saw I haven't seen a flyer in years, but I saw a flyer, and you're one of those flyers with everybody's got a little head on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you were
Was
there.
I the only head?
No,
there
there
was probably
there
somebody
were
else.
three other
Okay,
heads.
okay.
Yeah. And you deliver for Jewish shows. You deliver. You're clean. You're smart. Jewish audience basically at their events wants clean and smart, and that's you.
Right. What I don't have is the depth of knowledge about Yiddishkeit and about religion that say you and Elon bring to the table, or Avi Lieberman. So I don't have that, but I do have the as you say, the smart jokes, I think.
Yes.
And I do have Jewish material, but it's not real. I don't go deep, I don't
Okay.
deep into the religious stuff. So I'm better with the reforms.
Oh
No,
my
no.
God.
So
He can't.
He cannot take it.
He
It
can't.
takes a look. It took me a long time.
No,
to
but
take
the
a compliment. It took
I'm
me
not
a
saying
long time.
no, but the Orthodox are harder for me than the Reform, synagogues.
The Orthodox are harder for everyone.
But maybe
than
they're
the
harder for
Reform.
everybody.
They're not. They're the easiest of all of them.
Why?
Because they have more of the knowledge, so then you can do a lot more with them, and they do things that others don't do that you can have fun with, and that's
Right,
my
but you have to have that knowledge yourself as a comedian in order to bring that.
Maybe
I'll
you're
bet
right.
it would take you all of 37 minutes
Yep.
to do like a little bit of research and come up with a significant
Yeah,
amount
I could
of
do the research and do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this would be something you want to do, and otherwise it's going to be completely unnatural.
Well, if I get an offer, for an Orthodox gig, then that's something I can do.
When I get an offer for Dan, what's up now besides just to wrap this up, just to let's talk to me. What's up? The book, folks.
Well,
the book is Ira Spiro before COVID, and there's a picture of like a caricature of Dan on it.
well,
and
it's not really me. It's a caricature of Ira Spiro.
Isn't Ira Spiro you?
No, Ira Spiro is the main character of this novel that has some resemblance to me, but some resemblance to not me.
Okay, and it's Dan Naturman, another one, Dan Naturman. I'm looking forward to reading this.
So you can get it on Amazon.com. That's the main place to get it. You can get it on Barnes & Noble too, but .com, but Amazon.com.
And there's also a download that you sent me.
Well, no, I sent it to you, my own personal file, but I don't send it to everybody.
No, but I mean, people can buy it. They don't.
You
have
can
to
buy the Kindle version.
Okay.
Which is only $4.99, and you can read a sample. So if you want to read a sample just to make sure, then you can do that.
Yeah.
They give you 3 or 4. I think
when he told me about this, that we were at the Comedy Store, I go, I'm so excited that you're coming on the show and you have this book, and he goes, you don't have to read the whole book, just read the sample. It was like, really? If I wrote a book, I would lock someone to a table
Yeah.
and go, I wrote this. You have to
Yeah.
read this. And then so obviously the book, and then you have a website or something?
Website is down.
It's down.
It's been down for a couple years. No, I don't have a website.
Instagram.
Instagram at Dan Natterman.
At Dan Natterman.
And Twitter at Dan Natterman.
Okay.
And Facebook Dan Natterman.
And I know you dabble in French.
Well, I study French a great deal. Yeah, that's kind of a hobby of mine.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby of mine.
And Hebrew, frankly.
No, not Hebrew's not. I don't. Every time I try to study Hebrew, after 2 weeks, I said, "Now I remember why I quit the last time."
Yeah.
No, you're always working on the Hebrew.
No, when I'm with you, I use the 5 words that I know in creative ways as I can just to fuck around. But I'll be like, "Ani," because you're drinking coffee. Ad shoteh, is it shoteh?
Shotach, good.
Shotach, cafe.
Yafeh, kol
Cafe.
hakavod.
So you basically just said you slaughtered her coffee.
I said shoteh.
Shotach.
Shotach.
You said shotach is to slaughter.
But she told me
Shotah,
shotah.
shotah,
Shotah.
without the
Shotah.
Shotach. So it's okay.
She's slaughtering. Well, I use that figuratively because she's really gulping it down hard.
Yeah.
You want to ask him a question?
Always. So Dan, I always ask our guests, who's your rabbi? Like who is, and
Oh.
not like your rabbi of your synagogue, your guru. If you had a philosophical, a spiritual question, who would you go to?
Spiritual question.
Spiritual, or a comedy rabbi, or who would you go to?
You know,
as-
I generally ask Noam if I like to hear his opinion on things.
Right.
you
Okay.
know. I don't know if I go as far as to call him my rabbi.
No, well, rabbi means teacher.
Teacher.
Or
There's also
or mentor,
Google now.
Guru, yeah. So
Google.
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 that's the best answer we've had so far. Who's your rabbi? Who do you go for advice?
Harav
Google.
Google.
Harav Google. Oh, that was the best. And
No, Noam maybe the closest thing to a rabbi that I have. Of course, there's a rabbi that I often holler at and disagree with. But isn't that what you're supposed to do as a Talmudic?
yes, no, you
student.
question, but
You don't holler at.
Don't
I holler at Noam, but at a rabbi you wouldn't necessarily holler.
Okay, and you're on the podcast. Plug the podcast. It's
Live from the table on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog Thursdays at 7. It's also available on the Laugh Button Podcast Network.
and obviously the way you just said that
That's how
means
I
that's
introduce it.
really how you.
That's how I introduce the show every week.
Oh
Right.
no, do the
Well, the way I
real
introduce
intro.
the show is this is live from the table, the official pod. No, how do I say? This is live from the table, the official podcast of New York's world famous comedy seller, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog.
Oh.
And I'm just having fun with myself. You know?
But that's what you should be doing with everything: your book, your life, your career, your website.
Sometimes I
that's
bark.
down.
Sometimes I bark because it's
Okay.
Raw Dog.
Okay. And raw dog.
I don't know why they call it Raw Dog. I mean, that's a reference to unsafe sex practices.
Yeah,
right?
I thought only. Yeah, isn't that
So
what
I
that
don't know if
means?
that's what they mean by it.
Well, I mean, that could not have escaped the person in charge of giving like the final okay to
Yeah,
call
that
it
someone had to check that out. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go with raw dog, and we're okay with what it means, right? Someone said we're good for that, right? Okay, raw dog, perfect, raw dog.
So
Good Shabbos.
it's not the classiest name, but
And then
Could
you,
call it Balls
what do
Deep.
you got some shows coming up? No, Miss Periel?
I do. I have a show coming up on October 28th at Stand Up New York. See you next Tuesday. It's on
Now
a
say it
Thursday.
with the same enthusiasm he said it with the introduction.
and bark.
I have a show coming up this Thursday.
I have a show.
Don't forget this airs Wednesday.
See you next Tuesday on October 28th on Thursday at Stand Up New York. It's Frankie French, Rachel Feinstein, me, and it's my birthday show, so it'll be really fun.
Oh, wow.
It should be good. And then
Am I coming?
I don't know. I'm
was
waiting.
I-
I'm waiting. You're
Okay,
invited.
okay. If I can, I'm there.
You're
Rachel
invited.
Feinstein, she's doing an amazing thing with Jessica Kirsten now. It's
Yeah, they're
so
yeah.
good. It's a good. Sounds like a
gonna be a good
great,
show.
great show.
And then I have 2 more shows in November. We're changing the Tuesday show to Sundays.
Oh, ooh, that's
So you're
that's-
changing the title of the show, I gather. See you next Sunday. I mean,
No, I can't. It's see you next Tuesday. See you next Sunday.
Well, I don't know.
No. Keep the title. I love the title. I am going to be at the Broward Center on the 26th of this month, and the tickets are available at modilive.com or my Instagram in the bio. And then November 9th in Skokie, Chicago. That's getting there. The tickets are selling, and it's going to be so much fun. Jews are amazing. It takes one, and he says, we're doing this? Okay, call everybody. And then 10 people show up. Last night at the... we had like seats available, and then boom, 10.
That's
came.
amazing.
It was so much fun. It's just so good. And Yoeli opened last night.
I love that. Do we have time for you to?
So you know my Hasidic character, the one that ran for president.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. It was a character I did during the pandemic, and then last night, 2 days before, Eric Newman, who opens for me, and because he's not an opening act, he is a featured comedian. He's a great comedian, and he got sick, and Danny Cohn couldn't do it, and Ilan Altman. I said, this is a sign, and then out of nowhere it hits me. Yoeli is opening. I came dressed as Yoeli.
It's amazing.
And we had the music, and Yoeli has material. I didn't realize Yoeli has material, and especially when the audience knows him. And it was so much fun. And he'll be coming to the shows in Fort Lauderdale and in Chicago. And your comments are so good. Everybody watching this. Last night, some woman came backstage. She was deep in her 80s and says that she loves the podcast.
Oh, my God.
She feels like she's sitting here with us.
That's so nice.
And it's so good. I'm so happy people are enjoying it, and they love how you translate everything. and that's it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Please share it, and I'll see you all at the shows. Bye.
Thank you.